Welcome to the New World Order Showcase Podcast. Your host, Jill Hart, the Coach's Alchemist. Couldn't be more excited to have you join us today. On this podcast, we celebrate the champions of change, the up-and-coming life, health and transformational coaches who are fearlessly stepping forward to make a difference in the world. Get ready for inspiring stories, practical tips, and powerful moments that will motivate you to make a positive change in your life and those around you. We're happy to have you join us on this incredible journey as we dive into the world of life, health, and transformational coaches who are lighting up the path towards a better tomorrow.
Hi, and welcome to the New World Order Showcase Podcast. Today we have Kathryn, and how do you pronounce your last name, Kathryn?
Regganie.
Regganie. Oh, great, because I was going to mess that up for sure. Kathryn is the drama dragon master, and she tames the dragons that may limit leadership of professional women. I'm so excited to talk to you all about this. I did take your quiz, as I told you earlier. I'm the fire dragon, which is totally appropriate. I was reading through it. It's just like, oh man, she gets me. We haven't even met before.
That's fantastic.
Get into this. This is so unique.
Well, I got into it because I just thought it was a really interesting angle to take, because I don't know if you realize or not, but many high achieving women actually feel that stress. On the outside, they're the tough cookies, they've got it all together, but in the inside, sometimes they're just one drama away from absolutely losing it. And I know I've been there myself, and just watching different friends, even my clients, I came up with this drama dragon concept to have some fun with the fact that we all have our dragons. And once we can really understand what that is for you, it's a fire dragon. Now you can start to relate more to that dragon. Make friends with that dragon, understand what that dragon is there for, and then you can eventually then use that dragon for good when you notice it sort of starting to rage forward. I help women with the skills to help tame those.
That is really amazing. How many kind of dragons are there?
There are 5 dragons right now
Okay,
that I've identified.
Can you share them with us? And
absolutely. And like you had said, you're the fire dragon. And that was the first one I really created. And that's the one that really, that's the one who gets really fiery. They sometimes, excuse my language, get a little bitchy with people. Their comments aren't necessarily that friendly. And they may not even realize that they're doing it. But once they notice their friends and colleagues sort of taking a step back, going, okay, we're going to give her some space. Then okay, maybe the fiery dragon is coming out. Another dragon is the smoke dragon. And this dragon appears when you're not taking the time for yourself that you need to regenerate and recoup. So you're feeling that really tired feeling, you're starting to get grouchy, not necessarily firing at people, but you're a little more grouchy and your behavior is negative. You might just be a little more snotty than usual. And then the stoic dragon is there, and the stoic dragon appears when you're keeping all of the crap inside of yourself, so that you don't appear vulnerable, because nobody wants to appear vulnerable, right? So that's when you just sort of hide your emotions. Your face sort of just goes blank. And sometimes you find yourself running to the bathroom with the tears running down your face because you just can't hold it in anymore. And you don't want anybody else to see that, wow, this is really happening.
Right.
Then there's the unsettled dragon. And that dragon shows up when you've got too many ideas going at once. So it's sort of the multitasking situation. And you'll recognize this dragon when you're feeling really disconnected. It's almost like squirrel. Okay, now I'm going to go do this. And you're not really getting things done like you normally do. And you're just really frustrated by it. And then I talked about the stoic, the unsettled. That's too many ideas at once. And then the ice dragon shows up when you're overpromising. So now you've got too many things to do, not necessarily for yourself, but for other people. So the deliverables might not be the quality that you were expecting from yourself. And you're recognizing the balls start dropping left and right as you're feeling disappointed in yourself for not doing or being better. So those are the 5 dragons.
Is everybody like mainly one dragon type, or do you like shift through dragon types?
I think one is their main dragon type, but like for me, I find myself moving through different dragon types, just sort of depending on, what the situation is. Because sometimes in life, the drama, whatever it is, whether it's, your husband just decided to leave you, or a parent dies or gets sick or something like that. I think it just sort of depends on the situation and how strong you are in your resilience, where those dragons show up.
Interesting. So how do you work with people when they hire you?
Well, first of all, I have them take the quiz, the Drama Dragon quiz, because that really helps me understand where they are right now. And I start to talk to them about what it is, what dragon do they want to tame, and what does that look like for them right now? And then I just take them through the process of really getting in touch with that dragon. That's really where we start, is getting in touch with that dragon, learning how to tame that dragon, and then learning how to sort of utilize that knowledge of, oh, I'm feeling it. So now here are the steps that I need to go through in order to tame that dragon. And then eventually down the process, we can get you to the, sort of the resilient dragon, sort of stoic, embodied leader that everybody is.
Very, very interesting. So what other kinds of things would people be looking at when it comes to these drama dragons? And how did you even come up with the name Drama Dragons? I mean, that's just like, it's so cool and interesting.
Well, I was actually just talking with a friend about, my programs, and I was coming up with this quiz, and we were just talking about, sort of the drama that happens in people's lives. And we came up just on a whim with the name Drama Dragons. And I thought it was a little bit more silly and fun. Even though when they are coming up or they're raging, they're not necessarily so silly and fun. But if we come into it with sort of a lighthearted understanding that we all have them, and it's okay. They're there for a reason. They're there to protect us. They're there to give us a message that, hey, take care of yourself, because you're really starting to show signs that you're not. So that's really what it was. It's just a fun way to identify.
I love how you it depersonalizes something that's really very personal. Because the message that I got was just like, if it weren't something that I could set aside, and this dragon is more like a pet that has a temper. So it's not about me, it's about this pet, but it is about me.
Right.
I totally recognize that. It's my pet. And I can react to it how I choose to, and I can take the message in, because the overall message is really important. but you have to also be able to identify with the dangerous part of these dragons, because dragons, they're dangerous. And even all the movies that try to make them really super friendly, they can still do a lot of damage
Right.
to
Right. Exactly.
other people around you. And if you can look at it as just this pet on the side that you need to control to help the people around you, because it's just really about the people that you interact with, it seems to me. Yeah, I like that. I like that.
Yeah, it's not only about the people that you're interacting with, but as you're interacting with them in a way that isn't necessarily congruent with who you are, it also affects you on a deeper level.
Oh, yeah.
And if you're not willing to recognize that dragon as it's sort of poking its head out, then you're really not taking care of yourself. And if you're not taking care of yourself, you're not taking care of those other relationships or other factors in your life, like your job or your relationship with your family and spouse, or your relationship with your coworkers and your boss. Those are all really, really important relationships. And a lot of times we focus on them more than we focus on us. And I thought with the drama dragons, it could really help us realize, oh, these dragons are really sort of showing us our emotions. How are we really feeling? And if we can get in touch with that, how are we really feeling? Then we can learn, again, like I said before, to tame those dragons, or just recognize, gosh, you know what? I'm not going to stay late for this meeting because I just can't. I've got too many things to do at home. And then you can start creating those boundaries that maybe you hadn't set before, or you did set, but you've let them go. And you can just sort of start teaching people again how to treat you in a better, healthier way for your selfish reasons. But then again, it's not necessarily just selfish reasons. It's because you want to keep and maintain the integrity that you've already created.
Absolutely. Boundaries are kind of a new thing. Well, they're a new thing to me. And by new, I mean like maybe 6 or 7 years old. Before ago, I kind of recognized that if you don't have your own personal boundaries, you're more likely to run over other people's boundaries because you don't recognize them. And boundaries make it possible to interact with people on a level that makes everybody comfortable, because they're getting interacted with in the way that makes them comfortable. And then you can establish how you wish to have the relationship go. And it's not about being mean. It's just about, this is what aligns with me. And when we start going off in the weeds over here, or you start letting your dragons attack me, I am going to let my dragon go too.
Right. Exactly. And, those boundaries are something, especially women, our boundaries, our borders sort of get crossed all the time because we need to make sure that we're accommodating other people. And that's what society has taught us. But sometimes if, like, you're invited to a party, and how some people say, oh, I don't know, I might go. Well, why not just say you're not going because you've got other things, other appointments? Right. You don't have to tell them why.
Yeah.
Oh my
no
gosh,
is
I'm just not available.
Acceptable answer. People, women especially, they're afraid to make a commitment one way or the other, and they say maybe. Well, maybe is just a no without taking responsibility for the no.
Exactly.
Just say no. It helps everybody that's around you. If you get invited to a party and you say maybe, that doesn't help the person you're talking to.
Right.
They're going to plan for you to be there because you said maybe. And so they get their hopes up for something that's not going to happen. And they're spending money. It costs the other person money and time and other commitments. If you say maybe, because they're just waiting around for you to make a decision, that's Yeah. If there's one thing that I could really encourage people to do is learn how to make a decision.
Yeah. And it's really interesting you bring that up, because I had a client a couple of years ago, and it was around Christmas time, and her mother-in-law and her sister-in-law would come for the holidays, and then she'd go see her mother. And this particular year, things were going to get a little bit shifted. And she was feeling really frustrated because she was waiting to hear from her sister-in-law about what they were going to do. And so I just started asking, what would work for you? So she told me, it would be really nice if this were the way it happened. I said, so why don't you call your sister-in-law and see if that works for her? And she's like, oh my gosh, that's a great idea. She called her sister-in-law and it worked. Everything was just fine. She was getting herself so worked up because she didn't know what her sister-in-law wanted. Well, I'm sure her sister-in-law would have been fine, because when you're making plans, you're just making plans. So why
Right.
not just let it be known what you need? And it worked out fabulously.
And it keeps the problem of irritation, I guess is one way to put it. But when you're trying to make plans with somebody and they're like, well, we'll just see how it goes, we'll wing it, and then they get mad at you because you didn't magically read their mind, it's just like, where do you go from there? I
Right.
try to help you make plans, and I tried to read your mind, but in the end, if you won't tell me, then we're just going to do it my way, because I'm going to do what's convenient for me if it doesn't matter to you.
Exactly. And then if they do get upset, or if you get upset because things aren't going the way you want them to, there's a communication gap there. Why not have that conversation? Jill, I think that's a really great idea that we do that, but I'm not sure that Monday's a good day. Can we do it Tuesday?
Exactly.
That's a conversation. It's a communication.
Have the conversation, and you need to depend on that other person to say, yeah, Tuesday would be fine. So then you can make a plan instead of, well, maybe we'll see.
Yeah.
It's just like, well, we'll see is going to turn into something that you don't want, because again, I'm going to do what I want.
Exactly. And I find myself too, if I'm trying to make plans with people and they just aren't getting back, they aren't getting back, I just leave it. I may call once or twice and say, hey, let me know what you think. If I don't hear anything, I just let it go. I'm done chasing you. If you don't want to do it, that's fine. I'm good. But I could choose to get upset and wonder why they're not participating in this, but I just choose not to.
And it doesn't do you any good. I mean, you can stew about it, you can run it through your mind about all the scenarios, but when you get sucked into that trap, and it's totally a trap, you're the only one suffering, because they don't care. It just like, it's not in their consciousness.
Right.
It's the weirdest thing. I have this dilemma with one of my offspring.
Oh,
it's just like, and she's always crossways with me. It's like, it's not like I'm doing this intentionally. I'm trying to work this out with you, but you don't have boundaries and you don't know how to make a decision.
Right. Right. And that's really hard for a lot of people. And it's really interesting that you are talking about making that a decision, because it is hard for people, because, we're so concerned about what other people are going to say and what they're going to think. And, just decide for yourself what is going to work for you.
It doesn't matter what other people think.
Right.
I I was talking to a gal the other day, and she's like, she's another person who's really, she's out on the edge. I'm kind of out on the edge myself. And I grew up being labeled bossy. I reframe that. I'm not bossy, I'm just overly helpful. And now I charge people for my help. So make sure they get the result that they wanted. And it's actually pulled me back a little bit. But her point was that she's a lighthouse, and she is just going to shine as bright as she can so that the people that are meant to come to her shore can find her. And the people that are put off by it know exactly where she is.
Right. Well, exactly. And, that's a really interesting point you were talking about, the beacon, the lighthouse, the beacon, so that people can be attracted to her. But, when you're talking about the growth model too, or I'm sorry, decision-making part, I have this concept that I created not that long ago called the growth model, to sort of help not only just regular people, but those people in the lighthouse. And the growth model is grounding into your body. When you need to make a decision, you got to be here. You got to be in this vessel so that you can really ground or really feel into whatever decision it is that you're going to be making. And then you've got to recognize that it is your decision and nobody else's decision. And then you have to own that. Then you have to be willing to make the decision and then take action on that decision, and then honor yourself for that decision. So when you are making a decision, the big hard ones, this is the model I realize that I have to do for myself. I really have to ground myself, not get up here airy fairy, because then I'm all over the place. But if I can do this growth model, grounding into my body, recognizing it's my decision, owning that, being willing to take action, and then honoring myself, it's such a huge benefit. And this is a great model for even when you're working with your dragons.
Absolutely. It's so easy to get trapped in your head and not pay attention to what your body is telling you. I'm sorry. It's something in the background. And
yeah, my background's falling.
I love that.
The sky is falling.
Yeah. I didn't even know it was a virtual background.
Yeah.
That is totally cool. It's beautiful background.
Oh, thank you.
For the listeners out there. But then she stuck her hand behind her head and disappeared.
That's the dragon's lair back there.
Oh, okay. Thanks for protecting us. Unusual boundaries.
Yeah, exactly.
So tell people about the Drama Dragon quiz. I took it. I loved it. But how do they get involved in that?
If you go to the URL dramadragonquiz.com, that's where you can take the quiz. It's a 2-minute quiz. It asks you several different questions, and then based on those questions, it gives you the type of dragon you are. And it also talks about the type of leader you are as well, because we're all leaders, and the dragons sort of connect themselves with the specific kind of leaders. And then once you know those things, it's just easier to, create space to come to terms and tame those dragons.
And like I said, I was the quiz took me like 30 seconds. I mean, seriously, it's really fast. And I was thinking, this can't possibly be very accurate, but it was spot on. I was
good.
And it wasn't like, you just click the top one all the way across. I picked, it was accurate. And I picked the one that I felt without too much thought, just, my initial gut reaction to when I completed it. And then then when I got the printout, it was just like, oh, that's amazing. And I do recognize that I tend to become real bitchy when I'm stressed, or when I feel like people aren't pulling their weight. It's kind of my knee-jerk reaction. And I did recognize that early on. And I've had to curb it. And it comes in when somebody's kind of a get her done. I've always called myself the get her done gal, because I make a decision and I take action immediately. It may be messy, it may be all over the place, but I'm going to get to my goal, because I'll just keep plowing through. And if I've got a team or people that I'm depending on, it's really hard for me to not expect them to have the same commitment that I have. But over the years, I've recognized that, other people have other priorities in their life, and I need to respect that. It's one of those boundaries things. My priorities are not their priorities. And I need to treat them respectfully and honor their priorities too, not just expect everybody to come along and do whatever I want to do. So.
And the fact that you're aware of that, I mean, that's a huge thing. A lot of us, like you said, you had to become aware of that early on. If you didn't ever become aware of that, then people would just think you're a fiery dragon all the time. With no ramifications. But now that you're aware of it and you feel that fire come up, you can ground into it and say, okay, I need to change something about this situation for me.
And the sensitive part, I will stand up and lead the charge, but it doesn't mean I'm not scared. And it doesn't mean that I'm not sensitive to other people. And when people attack me, it's deeply painful. But it's another awareness thing. It's like, you have to think about who's attacking you and how much do you value their opinion.
Right.
And you can only
which drama dragon are they?
Yeah. That's another good point. I will start looking at which drama dragon are they? What are they struggling with? Because they're attacking me in this way.
Yes. And a lot of times when people attack you, it really isn't personal. It really is, something they're going through, and you just happen to be there at the right time.
Yeah. Self-preservation, we're all about, it really does start with each of us individually. I believe everybody's gifted and they have something to share, but they also have struggles and a past and trauma, and everybody's working through something. Be nice.
Exactly. Be nice. And if they do hurt your feelings, coming back to them with, how are you today? Just something simple like that. What's going on? This isn't the way you normally act. How can I help? People will really get taken back by that. But if it's somebody that really doesn't treat you terribly all the time, but you're noticing that their drama dragons are coming out, I better make them aware of it nicely.
Yeah.
With compassion.
And keep your drama dragon in check.
Exactly. Pet your dragon, feed it, put it to bed,
Exactly.
Take a nap. Just like you would your kids or your pets.
I love this. So what's the one thing that you want the audience to take away from our call today, or our message today? What message do you want them to take away from this podcast episode?
This session. I really want everybody to come away with the fact we've all got the drama dragons. Those are our emotions. Those are our unchecked things that we really need to be aware of. And the more that we can be aware of them, the better we can deal with them, and the more resilient we become as ourselves and as leaders for those around us. So get to know your dragons. Go ahead and go to dramadragonquiz.com and see which dragon you are. I'd love to hear from you.
That is awesome. Did you want to leave your website link as well? Or
Sure. My website is energy-pathways.com. I'll make sure to get that to you, Jill, and you can put that in the show notes. And
absolutely, we'll definitely do that. Kathryn, it has been an honor having you on the show today and chatting about the drama dragons. And I really can't wait to see where all of this goes for you.
Me too. Thanks for having me, Jill. I so much appreciate this.
Thank you so much for tuning in to another empowering episode of the U World Order Showcase podcast. We hope you've enjoyed hearing from our incredible life, health, and transformational coaches who are making a profound impact on the world. Remember, change begins with you, and you have the power to transform your life and the lives of others. If you want to take that next step and unlock your true potential, visit thecoachesalchemist.com, where you can find the 3 ways we can help you for free to spin your talent into gold with clarity, a system, and a plan. Don't forget to hit the subscribe button so you never miss an inspiring episode. And if you enjoyed today's show, we'd greatly appreciate it if you could leave us a review on your favorite podcast platform. Your feedback means the world to us and helps us reach more people with our positive message. Stay connected with us on social media for updates, behind-the-scenes content, and upcoming guest announcements. You can find us on Facebook at the U World Order or simply visit thecoachesalchemist.com.